Morning, gentlemen. My name is Rajeeve Kaushik, and you've been seeing me sufficiently through the videos produced by Chief Engineer Praneeth Mehta and his endeavor, Merchant Navy Decoded. In the past, I have taken you through the nitty gritty of personal finance, but that doesn't solve our problem because there are so many videos available on the YouTube and other social media which can tell you a lot of things about finance. We are marine professionals and we need to be very focused in our approach because we do not have much of time on our hands. We are busy initially with our education, continuing education and clearing exams till chief engineer and masters. And whatever time we have in remaining has to be spent with the family. So it is not expected that you waste that time. I would say use the word waste in finding out the nitty gritties of where to invest your hard earned money. So that is the reason that I introduced the concept of mutual funds to you in the previous so many videos. You have also must have understood by now that it is only through the medium of mutual funds that you can build long-term wealth and gain financial independence. What is financial independence? That we have already explained, but let me say that it is that independence which makes you do whatever you want, but not really for the purpose of earning money. From here on, I will take you back to the hows and whys of mutual fund, which funds to invest or starting to invest, how to arrive at that correct fund and why, and of course, how to go about finally investing it. If it is online or offline, which office to attend, this is what we will be taking up in this video. So for this purpose, I will be using a important website which I have been using for quite a few times, and this is called valueresearchonline.com. This is of course a paid website, and don't worry, this figure doesn't really show my holdings right now. They are different. This is a premium edition which is paid for. In the beginning, you can opt for this edition so that you are able to locate all the possible features and decide whether for the second year you will need this premium edition or not. So when you will use this valueresearchonline.com and you will add the word funds at the end, then you will be getting various features of mutual funds, and this will be the category in the mutual fund screener, but you have to go to fund monitor. In this fund monitor, you will see a tab which will open the complete list for you. As we have previously discussed various categories, here we have all the categories of equity, and below this all the category of debt, and below that all the category of hybrid, which means mixture of equity and debt. Now all these categories, which are almost 40 in number, is sufficient to boggle you down. So I will specifically address and start with equity, because which is the only medium to build long-term wealth in a slow, organic and a sustainable way. In this, we will start with the large cap category. The large cap funds are those funds in which the fund manager, he invests in the top 100 companies of the country. Cap stands for capitalization. So largest to the lowest 100 of the capitalization is covered in the large cap category. Once you have clicked the previous screen, as you remember, once you have clicked on large cap, the new window will open up and it will give you various tabs here, including snapshot, return, portfolio, risk, NAV and details. There are 48 AMCs which offer different kind of funds. These funds are of two types, active and passive. So roughly out of the 152 funds, you will find about 52 funds which are of the passive category and about 100 funds which are of the active category. Active category is where the fund manager himself buys and sells the equity and different stocks, and he decides. So all the funds which have a name of focus, frontline, blue chip, large cap, these will be the active categories, which a lot of you have been already investing. But for the freshers who have started, who are going to start now, they should concentrate more on the passive funds in the large cap category especially. About the medium, mid cap and the small cap, we will go back later on. So in this category, how do we determine that which is the active fund and which is the passive fund? Not by the name alone. In the passive funds, you will have two type of large cap funds. One will be called the ETF. The name of the AMC will come first, and next, after some description, it will come as ETF. As you can see, ABSL Nifty 50 ETF. ETF are the ones which you have to purchase from the stock market, and they are available only during the stock market operations. This is not really suitable for the non-residents because they find it difficult to open a demat account, because a lot of compliances have to be made since it can only be done through your NRO. So I would suggest that you do not go for the ETF category and concentrate on the index funds only. So in this list, wherever you will see the index funds, those are the funds that you will have to concentrate on. And since we are talking about the specifics, that is which AMCs can you invest in. So you can write down the names right now. ABSL stands for Aditya Birla Sun Life. DSP stands for DSP Merrill Lynch, DSP alone. I don't know the full name of it. Then we have the Axis. Further on we have HDFC, ICICI, IDFC, Kotak and SBI. These are my favorite and favored AMCs which you can concentrate on. Each of them, as let's take the case of HDFC. Now HDFC has so many funds starting from HDFC Nifty 50 Direct Index Fund. So it is an index fund which invests in the Nifty. Similar name will be also available for ICICI and IDFC and SBI and Kotak. These are some respected fund houses where you will see a good net asset at the end. As you see, this is also called asset under management. The last column shows your net assets. So when you will concentrate on any of these names of AMCs, you will find two funds in that for either of the indices. One will be Nifty 50, another will be Sensex. As you can see, one below is HDFC Sensex. So when you can select from HDFC, you can select from ABSL or DSP. ICICI will also have the same. I am not concentrating at the moment in the active funds, even though they are good, they have performed themselves very well. I will move on to ICICI. You might find an excellent performance of something like Bharat 22, but please do not be distracted, as I have already discussed this on my social media platform, that's Telegram, that it is not a very consistent performer. So we have to just find a similar ICICI Nifty fund, which is at the bottom of the screen. You see ICICI Pru Nifty Index. Similarly, you will find ICICI Pru Sensex also. On top is the ETF. And below this is the index fund. Similarly, you can find for IDFC, you will have Nifty, you will have a Sensex fund. You can go to Kotak and you will go to SBI also, because SBI, as you will see, will have one of the largest corpus in the mutual fund industry for large caps. Nippon India, just for your information, is also a good fund house. Previously, it was with the name of Reliance, and they have one of the oldest track records of index investing via ETFs. I will go into this with detail and I will try to form one separate video for this. But let's talk about SBI. As you can see, starting from here, it's got one of the largest number of assets under management. The ETF of Nifty State Bank of India has 150,000 crores worth of AUM, which is a large, but our focus is basically on index, which is SBI Nifty index. So in this way, you can select from either of them. It is my advice that you select one Nifty and one Sensex and invest in both for at least the first year to see the difference, if any, in the performances. Somehow I have found that difference, which I cannot explain how. You can select from UTI also, which we will be having Nifty index, Nifty 50 index and Sensex 30 index, but I have not really been very impressed with the service offered by UTI. So I would suggest that you stick with these 5 and 6 fund houses which I have mentioned till we talk about other aspects. Now, after this category of large cap funds, rather in this category of large cap funds also, it is very important to understand that how we analyze these funds. It is not sufficient to select by the name, which I have told you. There should be a justification in it also. There is a second tab in this which gives you the returns, short term, which go from 1 week to 1 year, and long term, which go from 3 years to 10 years. Because we are talking about the regular direct category, it shows this much, though it does show a record of 20 years. But if you will go to the regular category, then you will find that the 20-year ranking is also fulfilled. I am using the regular mode of investment, though I will always advise you to invest in the direct mode so as to see that how many funds have actually existed for 20 years and before. So you can see that HDFC Top 100 has been giving a return of 20.55 for last 20 years. Actually a bit more, it's about 27-year-old fund. And similarly, passive investing has come off late, the passive funds have come off late. So let us not distract ourselves, let's concentrate onto these funds only. And again, you will have to go through them to see that how your funds have been performing. Let's go back to HDFC Sensex Index. And you will see for 3 years, it has performed with a 16.73% return. And it's not really that HDFC Top 100, which is this fund, it has given a return of 18.85. But the things are changing now as passive investing is picking up. So from this, you can select your fund basis the returns. If you like, all the index funds will largely give you similar returns, whichever AMC it is from, and they are dependent on mostly one factor, and that is the tracking error. Tracking error is the price of what is being offered to you as NAV and what exactly was the value of the Sensex or Nifty 50 that particular day. Remember that right now in this video, we are only talking about the top 50 Nifty stocks or the funds offering the top 50 Nifty stocks and the Sensex 30 stocks. We have still not started talking about next Nifty or the next 50 stocks in the Nifty index. The basis of returns is something like driving while viewing in the rear view mirror, as a lot of my friends say. In the next tab, as you can see, there's a portfolio, which is a very good feature to see. Though most of the portfolios for index fund will be same. They are investing in the top 30 funds of the Sensex or 50 funds of the Sensex Nifty. So portfolio will largely be same. But it's important to show you what this shows. This is a fund style. And in the fund style, it shows on the top corner, which is colored, that it is investing in the largest capitalization. That is a large capitalization. And on the top side, top left hand corner, it is showing growth. So naturally, your portfolio is biased for the growth. The second one shows a market cap. Market cap is the value of the total stocks, the number of shares purchased by this fund, and the share price of that multiplied together is giving you that. Turnover shows the ratio of how often they're churning. For these stocks, there is a very little churn ratio, as you would see compared to a Nifty, next Nifty or other active funds. Bond style doesn't matter for the equity funds. Next, what you can actually see is the net assets. Net asset shows the amount of money invested in this by the people. So it is a good idea to take your cue from this net asset under management also to see which fund will actually be having a larger liquidity. In this sequence, you can further go on to see the risk. Risk is probably same because they are large caps. But however, there are 6 ratios. Those of you who are very interested in knowing more about mutual funds and how they should be selected and how they can be compared, you should try to find the definitions of these: standard deviation, Sharpe's ratio, Sortino ratio, beta, alpha, and R squared. Sharpe's is an Italian actually, who Italian American, who found out the ratio for comparing two funds for the volatility, and this is another way of comparing your different funds. This is applicable to all funds. You can select any capitalization and come to this. NAV details is not really very important for you. You don't have to worry about how much was a high, how much was a low, how much was it yesterday. We do not invest in mutual funds on the basis of NAVs. We simply go by the pedigree of the fund house, how well it is invested. Something which are good to find out about is the name of the fund managers. This is something which you actually can look forward to, because there are some good fund managers who make all the difference to a fund. So like we have Mahesh Patil for Aditya Birla, and similar way. You can download this into Excel if you like, but that is not really what we want now. So again, going back to our screen and selecting the categories back again. We go back to the same screen that we had gone before, and we try to select further categories. Now, in my opinion, if you are new to investing, you're just about to start investing or have just started investing, after the large cap funds that you have selected, you should select a flexi cap category. What is the difference between flexi cap and multi cap category? In a multi cap category, SEBI has mandated the funds to allocate at least 25% to large cap, 25% to mid cap, and 25% to small cap. And remaining 25% is up to the discretion of the fund managers to allocate where he wants. Flexi cap is a active category, and multi cap, all except the ones that I discussed, are mostly the active categories. A flexi cap does not have any index fund or ETF right now. So multi cap has this binding that it is 25, 25, 25, but flexi cap has no such binding. And in this, the fund manager has the mandate to invest however much he wants to whichever company. In the flexi cap category, as I said, that the fund manager has no binding and he can invest as much. It's one of the most active fund categories, because in this he can select any fund from anywhere. Now, as you will see just below the category, it says 74 funds. Now, in amongst just 47 or 48 fund houses or AMCs, 74 fund indicates that there may be two type of funds, and which is very correct. Flexi cap have been decided by the fund houses to take on two kind of funds. One is a normal flexi cap, which you will see. Another is a focused cap focused type of fund. Some fund houses have gone for 25 fund stocks, and they call themselves Focus 25. Some of them call themselves Focus 30. Some of them call Focus 50, and most of the funds otherwise are categorized with simply the name Flexi. That is a name of the AMC, let's say Axis and Flexi Cap. So that is what we are interested in. In the Flexi Cap category, one of the oldest funds which exists is HDFC Flexi Cap. This has actually a age of about 27 years and was one of the longest funds, which was held by a fund manager called Prashant Jain, who resigned from this fund last year. It has a beautiful track record, and this again can be considered as your first fund in the flexi cap category to invest. Similarly, we have ICICI Pru Flexi Cap, also with a net asset value of net asset under management of 11,000 crores. This can be your second fund to select. Third fund in this, which you can possibly take on, is Parag Parekh Flexi Cap Fund. This is also a very new kind of a fund which has been launched for, yes, it has been for 10 years, but still the concept was very new to the Indian mutual fund industry, as it invests about 30% of its assets in the foreign direct stocks, not the foreign mutual funds. It also has a comparable asset under management of 29,000 crores, and though for 1 year this has not given good returns, but as we will compare that, yes, in past it has given a very good return indeed. Second is PGIM India Flexi Cap, also with a net asset of not so much, 5236, but it has a good review, and you can take on this fund as well. There are focused funds which are very popular with people, and out of them SBI Focused Equity is another fund. Though it is a focused fund, it also invests partially in the direct foreign stocks. So these are few funds, and to determine in a better way and selecting at least 10 funds in this category, we should go by the ratings. Though ratings by value research are not really the greatest form of selecting a good fund, nonetheless there is something very interesting to find out here, which you should be able to take on in your future investing life. And one of the most important one is, as you can see, HDFC Retirement Savings Equity Direct and ICICI Pru Retirement Pure Equity Direct. There is something I want to tell you about these two funds. ICICI has a life of 4 years, whereas HDFC Retirement Saving has a life of 7 years, means it has been around for at least 7 years. The thing about these funds is that they were formed after SEBI created another solution-oriented funds, and these funds are oriented towards that. They have a lock-in of 5 years, and as such, probably because the funds remain with them for some time, HDFC Retirement Savings has been giving good returns. This is a good fund to invest in, as is ICICI Pru Retirement Equity Direct. You can put your lump sum also in this, as the lock-in is for 5 years. So any windfall gains which you get from elsewhere as gifts or something, or a bonus from the company, you can safely lock in here, apart from the other flexi cap categories that we discussed. Going back from HDFC Retirement Savings and ICICI Retirement Pure Equity, Parag Parekh Flexi Cap, PGIM Flexi Cap, Axis funds have not been doing too well for the last 3 years for some reason. But as my interaction with various fund managers in this fund house has been, if you already holding any of these funds, it is my advice to please hang on and do not sell them right now. Canara Robeco Flexi Cap is a good fund. Franklin India Flexi Cap is one of very old funds. In fact, I would say if we see the regular category, we will come to know the actual age of these funds. So, as far as my memory serves me right, Franklin India Flexi Cap is actually a 28-year-old fund. So, as you can see, the pedigree is good. It may not be having a good 1-year return, as most of the returns have been very muted in the last 1 year. HDFC Flexi Cap is another very stalwart, as I told you, with a very large asset under management. And you can select from any of these. Here you will again find a very weird input of HDFC S&P BSE 500 ETF. And I would like to tell you something about this, that when you take the top 500 companies of the Indian stock market, you have covered 100 companies of large cap, 150 companies of the mid cap, that is 250. Plus you have already covered 250 small cap companies also. So if you are investing in this ETF, which was introduced just about 15 days back, so you will be covering most of the companies, most of the stock market, but your return need not be one of the greatest ones in this. So please do not try to invest without having a track record. Track record is something that we do look forward to when making our investments. So that is how we select few companies, a few funds from the flexi cap category on the basis of its renowned name, pedigree, on the asset under management. And of course, one of the very important parameters which you should have in your mind when selecting one or more than one, two or three flexi cap funds is the portfolio. It's not only the returns. I will not go to the returns right now. And I'm selecting only the regular this thing because all the funds became direct funds from 1st January 2013. Before that, we only had a regular mode of investing in which you had to pay the distributor a part of the commission. Even today, a direct investment in equity will save you at least 1% per annum on your returns. Because even if this expense ratio incidentally is deducted, whether your funds go in a profit or not. We go on to the portfolio to see which one has a bias of what kind. So as you will see that most of them will have the top column as colored, which shows the large capitalization and growth. That means most of these funds have invested in the large cap category. Now, naturally, they will give you similar returns. Now, if we will go back and select ICICI Pru Retirement, as you saw, its return for 1 year were not very great, even though the fund has been around for last 7-8 years. And that is because it has a blend style of investment. That means it may have invested in the mid cap category also, or it may have taken on some funds of debt funds also. So that is the reason you get something like this. It is important sometimes that these flexi cap funds have some allocation more to mid cap, and that is what we try to look out for. Like if you will see Nippo India Focused Fund, you will see that again the blend is, it's not on the growth, it's on a blend. Blend means it will have a little bit of debt funds also. Similarly, Quant Flexi Cap, but all of them have a large cap allocation. We have a small fund here called Taurus Flexi Cap, which also has a more focused returns to investment to medium cap stocks, but we cannot really select it as an important form. So as you will see, most of them have a large cap bias. It doesn't mean that they are not investing in the mid cap. They are investing in the mid cap. So you can select your 2 flexi cap funds from here. So this would be the way for you to select your flexi cap funds. You can go around and toggle to find more of your details for the funds that you want to select, and they are from here. And you can see that there are risk which is low, there are funds having below average risk, there are funds having average risk, and there are funds which have a higher risk also. So you have to select between risk grade and fund return grade. And from here you can, before selection, you can see as for HDFC Flexi Cap, the risk is also above average and return is also above average. So this is the kind of fund that we should actually go for. Because being youngsters, risk does not mean that this fund is guaranteed to go dead. What it means is that it has taken on the active scripts also, those stocks which have a volatility, and the sectors may be there, which sectors which are not doing so well presently, but may be expected to do well after 1 or 2 years. Equity investing, as you know, is largely about investing more for a longer time and letting your money grow. As we have already discussed that, how does your money in mutual funds grow? How does it beat inflation? How does compounding take place? Well, as in the life of a country, as we proceed, the businessman who has smaller companies, he tries to share his profits with the public by bringing out an IPO. In that case, the retail investor becomes a part of the company. And later on, as this company does an ethical business, it grows from small cap to mid cap, from mid cap to large cap. Like, let's take an example of Havells or Asian Paints or Supreme Plywood or any of the banks. So all they have grown. Now, as the bank or these entities, these companies, they grow, the share price also increases, and with that the market cap also increases, because market capitalization is the number of shares floating in the market for purchase and sale multiplied by the instantaneous share value or end of the day share value. That will decide whether the market cap has gone up or gone down. This is the reason recently and nowadays you hear these news about Adani shares going up or the wealth losing and wealth gaining. This is decided on the last day share price. Now let us divert ourselves, once we have selected these two categories, on how to go about investing. Since you will be investing in the direct mode, one of the most important parameters for you to do is to go into the nitty-gritty of investing, of which company to approach. You will be investing in the direct mode. That means you will not be having any distributor to help you, because you're not going to share your commission or the savings with him. So you will have to do the legwork on your own. If you're not ready to do it, you can call a distributor. If you're not able to manage on your own, you can call a distributor near to your house, and I will tell you exactly how you can go about it. You have selected your funds. Now, all these 48 mutual fund houses are serviced by just two RTAs. RTA stands for Registrar and Transfer Agents, and they are CAMS and K-Fintech. CAMS and K-Fintech, between them, do all the paperwork and all the record keeping of all the shares purchased and sold by these companies, all the subscribers, the investors who have put in their money, and they can provide you statements as often as you want from your for your investments. So all you have to, before you start investing, you have to get a KYC or know your customer cleared. Now it is required that you do it in in-person verification for all non-resident Indians and resident Indians. So all that is required from your end is to collect your passport, CDC, last contract form, PAN card, Aadhaar card, and your checkbook of the NRE account or NRO account from which you will be investing, and proceed to the nearest CAMS office or K-Fintech office in your city. And now, after having collected all your 6 documents that I mentioned and finding out the address of CAMS, CAMS or K-Fintech in your city or town or the nearest town, I would like you to go back to your to the book that I had written for you, which is available for free and most kindly published and made available by Mr. Kantheria, Ronak Kantheria of Marine Insight. And if you will go back to the page number 89 of this book is available from anywhere. It is important to see the chapter 8 of Golden Rules of Investing. And here I have given 7 rules that never invest all at one go. This is a very important warning, especially for the senior officers who have large amount of money. And after listening to the videos or in my interaction with them, they may feel that they are losing out on time and need to make up that lost time by investing more ferociously or fast. Yes, it is important, but then suppose you have 10 lakhs to invest, you should not invest all 10 lakhs together. You should distribute in at least 10 parts. Even if you do not want to do a SIP and you want to invest faster than that, then at least divide it into 10 parts and invest each part at least every week. This way you will not be suffering any pain in case the market suddenly decides to go down, which it has a habit of going down very often. Then second thing is that never to invest in a NFO. NFO is new fund offer when the AMCs bring out new funds. In my opinion, each fund house has a fund of all categories. So there is no really need for them to bring out any more new funds unless they are bringing out some index fund of low cost with some special theme which they are taking out. When you get a NFO for 10 rupees, the banks, your banks or the distributors try to tell you that you're getting for 10 rupees. It is very cheap, but no. There is a difference between NFO that is offered by a fund house and IPO where the shares are being offered to you. In an IPO, when a share is offered to you, they are basically giving it to you for some business. When you buy a share, its value is 10, but they take a premium from you for 200, 300 or 40, 50, whatever rupees, and they give you a part of the business. Whereas when a fund house gives you an NFO unit, it has nothing to give you. It will collect the money from you, deduct the NFO charges, which are as much as 3% sometimes, and then it will start buying something at the current market price, which may be high or low, we do not know. So you have all the, like I have told you about 7, 8 fund houses, which are sufficient for you to invest. You can select any from those, any funds, what we have discussed, and never invest in sector funds. Now, what are sector funds? In the entire economy of the country, there are different sectors. There is a banking sector or finance sector. There is automobile sector. Then there is a petroleum or energy sector. Then there are housing or real estate sector. There are various kind of sectors or FMCG sector. There are various. Now, if you select a theme, that is a sector for something, say you select for gold, or if you select for petroproducts, then you have already decided to select all the stocks of one sector. That means you have the particular information with you to buy those stocks, but you're only buying it through the fund house. This is not a good strategy to invest in mutual funds. We are only interested in buying for investing in or buying diversified mutual funds. What do you mean by diversified? Means a fund which invests across the board in all the sectors. And how does this help us? So that tomorrow, due to government policies or the international scenario, one sector goes down. Say oil was not doing so well for some time, then it started doing so well again. So similarly, there may be a short supply of something or more demand of something. So this way, one sector may go down because of various policies or events happening, but some other sector would still be doing well. So your fund would average out. In fact, it will take advantage of any surge in one sector if it takes place, but you don't have to decide that. There are people sitting in Bandra Kurla complex, AC offices, and doing all this job of selecting stocks for you and giving you the returns at just 1% of your money that you are investing. So, never to invest in a sector fund. So, the next one is that you have to opt for growth option. In this book, you will find the word dividend, reinvestment and payout. But the new word which is used for this is IDCW, that is income distribution. But this you do not have to worry. You will only have to go for growth option. What growth option means is that as the stocks increase in price, your NAV will keep rising and nothing will be paid out to you unless you decide to sell this fund. Do not think that when they pay you in the IDCW mode, they pay you something, then it comes out of nowhere. It is basically paid from your value only. And this was a big misleading thing which was happening in earlier times. A lot of distributors were pushing the investors to opt for the dividend in investment or dividend payout and presently the IDCW payout. But in my opinion, it is not the correct thing to do. Second thing that we say is, like I said, invest in open-ended, diversified funds and invest as a non-resident Indian. You are earning your money abroad in dollars, completing your NRI status. So you are a non-resident Indian. You have the right to take your money out of the country should you decide to settle abroad, take up higher jobs or doing studies and further go on to take jobs or diversify into other fields. So you should be able to take it out without answering any questions from the government or RBI or paying any duty or TCS which has come recently into play. Even while investing as a non-resident, when you will tick on that as a non-resident, suppose you lose your status next year or even the year after next, you do not really have to close down this mutual fund or change your option from non-resident to resident. You do not have. You are allowed at least 2 years because the money into this can only come in from your NRE account. So you don't have to worry about that front. You can simply continue with your non-resident account to this and your status in your mutual funds. When you do become resident permanently, at that time there is a very small procedure to change your entire holding from non-resident to resident status by simply writing a letter with the checks. This process I will make another video for you to understand, especially for those people who have been investing for a long time and now are at the end when they can actually they have to change their status and they may have to start redeeming their funds. So you do not have to redeem your funds simply because your status has changed. You just have to change the mode or KYC, and whatever your other avenues from India would be, then you can continue to invest as a normal resident Indian in your retirement or should you take up another job in the country in India. Now, keeping a second applicant was very much required in earlier times because so that your spouse could carry out the transactions from India. In the present scenario with online transactions happening and net banking happening, you do not really have to go for a second applicant. You can actually keep this applicant as a nominee. Second, and a very important field to note is the contact details. This contact details requires one mobile number and one email address. It is my suggestion to you to create one email address specially for your financial needs or your financial records. In this email address you should use for your banking, for your investments, or later on whichever financial products you buy. You can even include the insurance in this unless you want to make one separate email address for insurances, which is up to you. So this will give you an unrestricted view of your investments in one email address only. You can create several such email addresses all linked to your one common family email address, which you can use. All these email addresses for different purposes, your professional, insurance, and banking or this finance, when you can have the pop email forward option, you can use it on Gmail so that it can be forwarded to one family email address where everybody can watch your different emails coming in. This is a very good system in which you can also avoid the hacking of your different email addresses for safety purposes. I use one such, and one of the very famous email addresses which I have is kaushiktheidiot@gmail.com, which I use normally to give to people who are spamming me, these real estate and insurance and other people, and the loan people who keep giving me loans every now and then. So these are the contact details that you should mention. Another one is the mobile number. This mobile number, preferably if you have been investing from before and you have a mobile number, you should keep that mobile number alive. When we are on 3 months on board, there are some providers which try to cancel this number if you do not do any calls or recharge everything. So please take care that this number doesn't expire, because why I am mentioning specifically about these two things is because in future all your transaction records will be available either on SMS and WhatsApp of this mobile number or on your email address. Do not delete any of this transaction or any information which comes to you on these finances for any amount of time. I have emails going up to 2000, 2001 from different AMCs or different entities which I have interacted with. I have kept them safely. So this helps in various cases because, as you know, we don't do much of paperwork nowadays. Another is direct credit to bank. This is not really a relevant thing now because most of the times when you sell your mutual fund holdings or any other financial product, the amount always comes to your bank. The days of drafts is over. but they are not always so. So now, after having understood all these 7 rules, these are not rules, these are basically steps which you should take in the beginning so that your start off into mutual fund investing takes properly. Once you have decided which AMC fund you will purchase and you have taken the documents, you go to the nearest CAMS or KFinTech office. It is possible that that particular fund is not offered by CAMS. For example, HDFC is offered by CAMS, not by KFinTech. But the names that I have given you will have funds from both KFinTech and CAMS. For example, you can go for Axis, which is available with KFinTech, or IDFC, which is available with KFinTech. ICICI and HDFC are available with CAMS. Similarly, SBI is available with CAMS. So you can go with them, either of them, and select your fund. You will be asked to fill in the KYC application, which you should fill. Ask them for a photocopy of it after filling and signing. At the same time, after you have filled in the name of the fund, you have made the initial investment, which is minimum for 5,000, but you can make for more. You should fill in another application for a SIP into the same fund of as much amount as you wish. Initially, you can keep it for 1 year, and later on you can start off online only, but initially for 1 year, and that SIP can be of any amount depending upon your age, rank, and your monetary status at that particular moment. But I would suggest that do not hesitate and start by 1,000 or 2,000. I'm very sure even the cadets can make a better effort. So certainly those certified officers can put in at least 5 to 10,000 rupees SIP into each. Yes, it is important to try out in a very small way, but once that trial is complete, you should enhance your SIP. Another important thing to understand is that when you will go and make that SIP from the office of the mutual fund or CAMS. Now this is very specific, that if you have a mutual fund office next to your home, say SBI Bank is there now, few SBI banks, the large branch, the main branch also have the SBI mutual fund office there. So you can go to them and open your first investment account, or folio number will be generated. And once your KYC is done, I think as per the present rules, you can invest in other funds online. Once your paperwork has been complete with these 2 entities, that is CAMS or KFinTech, or the individual fund house office which you have been, your state KYC will be complete, about which you will be informed on the phone and your email. Your first transaction will be complete, about which you will also be informed. You will also be informed about your SIP, but your SIP will take another month to be deducted. Once your first SIP has been deducted, you can proceed to the second fund. Try going to the fund house office directly, but if it is not available, you can again approach KFinTech and CAMS office and go for the second fund. In a similar way, when it has settled when your process has settled for second fund, you go for third. Do not try to start all 4. And very importantly, do not carry out any of these exercise 1 week before you go on board. A lot of people are in the habit of doing this and by postponing it just before 2-3 days when you're about to go. And then there is something which is left out and a lot of correspondence has to be done. And in that case, you are also in distress and your family at home is also running pillar to post. Very important that I can mention is that keep your family, that is your spouse, in picture about your investments, about all investments. Discuss everything, including this video which you are seeing. Please share it with your spouse, and if your children are any age above 8 years of age, you can also ask them to sit down. My daughter used to take very active interest in this right from her beginning formative years. So this will help you a lot. So it will all depend upon you that how soon can you start all these 4 funds. It can actually be like a clockwork, because after your first KYC, which will maybe take a week to come around, the second fund should not take much time, and the third one even not. There should also be a method to try out so that you have more faith in the system, that how does it work? How is it working? For this, after your first investment of, say, you can make another bulk purchase, it is not necessary that once you have made the initial purchase of 5,000, you have to wait for your first SIP to happen. Once your KYC is done, you can make an effort to make a purchase extra into that fund by creating a login ID of your AMC in either the direct website of that AMC, the ones that we discussed. Suppose you go back to this FlexiCap category and you go to Aditya Birla Sun Life, you can go to their website and you can create a login ID. Or if you want to make it a centralized system, then both KFintech and CAMS have come together to create a platform. This platform is called MF Central. There is another platform by the same entities, joint platform, to enable you to make your transactions on a single platform. It is called mfuonline.com. By creating a login ID in these two, you can make extra purchase or additional purchase or bulk purchase, as we call it, into the specific fund where you have already started your investment after your KYC has been done and your folio number has been generated and you have been informed. So you should try out the system, make another purchase into it. First you have made for 5,000 minimum, you can make it for 50 also. The second purchase you can make to try out the system and with your net banking for about 5,000-10,000. After that has been credited to your system that evening and you know that after how much time that investment takes place or shows up on the system, or you get the email and text message, you can attempt to withdraw. Suppose you have invested 10,000-15,000, you can try to withdraw 1,000 to test your system, test your understanding. And you see that when you redeem from an equity fund, say today, before 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock is the deadline for the equity funds. If you redeem means sell for rupees 1,000. See when and at what time is this money received. Earlier this was transaction plus 3 days, but now it has been reduced to transaction plus 2 days. For example, if today is Monday, you should get this money in your account on Wednesday morning or at the best Thursday morning. Suppose you redeem it on Friday afternoon, you will get this money only after 2 days, that is by Wednesday morning. So this will bring you around to understanding the system and seeing that yes, the system is working. And then you can move on to the second fund and third fund. A very common question that I am asked is that only 3 funds, up to when? Up to what time? When should I increase my investment? So my suggestion is that this category of funds that we have talked about have been well tested for over 25 years, at least by me. In those days, there were no index funds, so we used to go for only the large cap funds. But the first ever funds that I invested in was a flexi cap. Even the category was not so well defined. And it had stood me very well. So instead of talking about time, let me tell you that you can continue to invest into these funds till you reach the magical figure of 1 CR. 1 CR of total value. That means you keep investing your amount, whatever you feel like, which we have mentioned that should be at least worth 35% of your annual income out of the ship which you get. Because that is to say that whatever money you were supposed to go pay to the government as tax, at least you should be paying yourself. Because this money which you will invest in yourself or in your funds of your choice will grow up by the effect of compounding into a large amount. Up to 1 CR, with a target of 1 CR, you can continue with these 4 funds unless something drastically happens. A 3 to 6 monthly review of each fund should take place. Review means to see that has the fund manager changed? Has the fund undergone some major change, like recently L&T fund was taken over by HSBC fund, or some other funds keep getting taken over by that. In that case, we can decide if it is an adverse effect by that particular action. So all these are called adverse actions. We are not really concerned that if the returns have fallen in your 3 months. If you have to really compare with the performance, then you cannot just compare with one fund or the market. You should also compare with the funds of same category of different AMCs. But that is not really what we are concerned here. Our main thing is to get our uh, investment started properly in our journey of 1 CR, which is initially going to take some time if you are starting as a junior. But you will always be very happy to note whenever you come back or on board you take a statement down, then it will be very simple for you to understand that how actually your money is moving up. It's growing. It's not always that the market will keep growing, but it is also not always that the market will keep falling. The encouragement will be a fruit and incentive in itself for you to invest more. However, you should only put that money into equity, mutual funds, which you do not expect to take out at least 5 years for the next 5 years, which you can invest for at least 5 years. It's normally 5 to 7 years, but at least 5 years. And it is also very important to let your money grow. It is not that every time you have invested every month or every year and you need something and you take out from one of the funds. This is something which is called, like we sow small plants, or we sow the seeds and we see the small plants germinating. And now you cut those plants at that very stage, or at the site of the first flower, you cut the plant and you say that I have got my flower. Maybe you're not after the flower, you're after the fruit. So you have to allow the time to grow, for the plant to grow and form into a big tree. Only the trees bear fruits, and these take time. If you want me to give you an idea of how long a fund can be held, I will give you the example of HDFC equity, which is now I refer to in this video as HDFC FlexiCap, and of course Franklin FlexiCap and DSP FlexiCap. In these funds, I have been invested for at least about 15 to 17 years before I decided to sell for my consumption. And of course, even in that time, when I did sell, I was pretty discouraged by the performance of HDFC equity, which was going absolutely down and was at the bottom. It is something exactly like what is happening in Axis funds nowadays. But within a very short time, the fund manager actually made a comeback. And as you can see, most of the HDFC funds were again doing very well for last 1 year. So the idea is to start your investment with understanding, go the right way. And at going the right way means please do not go by all through these aggregators, which you see on the television saying that it's free and you are investing like this. Because in mutual funds can be invested in two ways. When you buy through these aggregators, most of them have a stock market platform. Means when you buy a mutual fund, it is purchased in the same way, but it is kept with the DMAT authorities, which are two, that is CDSL and NSDL. They are kept with them in DMAT form like your shares. And for all the time that you keep it there for, let's say, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, it is possible tomorrow the DMAT company will start levying some charges, which are not the case if you buy this mutual fund in its electronic form, that is non-DMAT form. So the idea is to buy it through the regular fund houses or through their RTAs if you want to make a centralized system. Monitor them on your CAMS website or the MF Central website or KFintech website or the AMC website. That is one way. You can monitor them centrally on the MF Central or MFU online website also. Another way by which you can actually monitor your funds and the performance in a central way, and you can involve a lot of other things, is through, again, valueresearchonline.com. As you can see, this is my account which is displayed here, and here on the right hand corner you will see this login. So I have logged out. So this is what you will see initially. So going on the login, you can create a sign up for yourself. You can use the same email address which you are using for your MF investing or your banks, and create a password for yourself. Once you have done that, this is mine. I have logged in. So now, suppose you wish to create another portfolio, you can create from here. And you can add your mutual funds here for all the status, and you can add your stocks to it, your fixed deposits to it, your PPF to it, your insurances to it, your NPS to it, and you can get all the view in one centralized view. Now this is the way you can track it in real time, but for every transaction you will have to update this portfolio manager. Once you have entered your SIP or STP, I hope you remember what SIP and STP was. Once you have entered this into the system, that is from which fund it is going to where, or which bank the SIP is coming from, it will update automatically till the date that you have entered as the duration date. This will give you much better view in a pie chart in your returns from the time that you started investing, the returns of the fund from the time that it was formatted. All this will be available to you at one click. If you wish to go further to find to get your regular statements, you can go to CAMS Online, as you can see here on the screen. And from here, CAMS Online is the CAMS website. You go to MF Investors. In the MF Investor category tab, you will get this view. And in this, you can not only invest here through My CAMS, you can get your statements. You can get your CAMS plus K FinTech, as you can see. That means whichever funds you may be invested in, does not matter. From one point here, from camsonline.com investors, you can go and get your centralized statement for mutual funds alone. Here you will say summary or detailed, whichever one you want, as on date, which should preferably be the current date. Write your email address and just your passwords. PAN is not required if you're only investing for yourself. And when you submit it, your password should be very simple, which you can remember, because this is going to be used by you, and probably this statement which you will generate may be used by you even after 10 years. Your password should be so that it cannot be forgotten by you. So this will give you a record and it will stay in your email address for a long time. So you have learnt in this video how to invest, how to decide which funds to invest in, where to go to invest to get your KYC done, what all documents to carry, and once you have invested, how to increase your funds in that, how to additionally buy funds, how to redeem those funds with the help of those CAMS offices or K FinTech office or the online method. I'm sure with all our versatility at our end, we should be able to make a good job of your investment. The only thing, rather two things to remember in the field of investing is when to start investing. Yesterday. You should start investing as early as yesterday. Till when should I continue to invest? Till you keep earning. Till the second last month of when you keep earning, you should keep investing. We will talk about redeeming these funds later on. But right now your aim is to start this investment. This video is targeted at all the junior officers who are about to start investing or who have already started investing. We will take up another video of why we are so biased in favor of mutual funds and not other formats of direct investing, direct equity investing like stocks and other things. We will keep making such videos for you to take informed decisions. But for the moment, please act on this video today and start your investments today. And if you have any problems, you can always call me on my mobile given below, and I would be glad to help you. Thank you so much. Signing out.